What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day today, and I hope it gets even better from watching this video. Today we're talking all about discipline. This is one of my most requested videos. You guys always want to see something about like, how do I stick to things? How do I commit to something? How do I, become successful and really put my all into something and keep going even when it gets difficult, when I face challenges, failures, whatever. Like, in order for me to succeed, I know that I need to learn discipline. And I've definitely been there. Like, I really had to learn this. I was not good at it initially when I started my career. And I think that's coming from like school. I always hated school. I was never disciplined in that department at all. And I never learned that. In my life, I feel like I always kind of got by doing like the bare minimum, which is fine. But sometimes, when you have that feeling where you're like, I feel like I can do so much better and like I'm meant for more, I'm just not doing anything about it. That's where discipline comes into play, because that allows you to actually do the things that you set out to do and the things that you see that you could be doing. And you're just not, because you might be a little lazy or, a little wishy-washy, indecisive, whatever it might be. So I feel like I am qualified to talk about this because I had to learn. And the last 10 years that I've been working in this industry, I had to learn how to work for myself, motivate myself, keep myself in line, keep doing what I set out to do. And it's been a learning experience. I wasn't always good at it, but I feel like I've gotten to a place now where I think I've got it. So these are my best tips, the things that really, really helped me. No bullshit. Like to-do list style, this is what you can do. And if you like that kind of advice, that kind of self-development content, I hope you stick around. I hope you subscribe if you like this video, and check out my social media. Also, I've got TikTok, Instagram. I'll link it all down below, and we can continue these chats across different platforms. Without further ado, let's get into some of my favorite discipline hacks and tips. Tip number 1, you need to change the way you view discipline. A lot of us, if we're not good at discipline, we view it as this like prison sentence. Like, I will be stuck doing something. It will be this horrible thing. It would be hard. It will be difficult. And we will chat about the resistance that you start to experience when you have to, continue doing something and commit a bit later. It's probably the most important part of this video. But changing how you view discipline is a huge first step. And it really does impact your actions later on. So we need to change that negative view to a more positive one. And one thing that really worked for me and makes a lot of sense to me is that you view discipline as self-love, as an act of self-love and self-respect, because you are pulling up for yourself. You are not going against your word. You are doing what you set out to do, what you promised yourself you will do. And that builds confidence. I made a whole video about confidence, and this was one of my tips. Like, if you want to be confident, start doing the things you set out to do. Because imagine someone invites you somewhere, they tell you to invite someone, and you have to be on time. You're going to bring Sarah, let's say, because you are confident that Sarah will show up on time. She's done it so many times before that you're confident that you can rely on her for that. You trust that she will show up on time, and that is what you need to build for yourself. And the more you do it, the more your relationship with yourself improves, the more you trust yourself, the more confident you become, and the more you can replicate that in other areas of your life. Like, oh, I was able, to pull up and do the things I set out to do and achieve what I set out to do in this area. Obviously, I can do that also here because I trust in myself. I believe in myself that I can do it because I've got proof. I've done it before. If you have trouble with this, take a piece of paper, your notes app, whatever, and write down examples. Like, you're like a scientist trying to prove a theory, right? So when have you been able to really rely on yourself? When have you done what you set out to do? If it's for yourself, for the people around you, just write as many examples as possible. And how has that made you feel? It's probably made you feel a lot more confident. It builds character and you feel powerful, like, oh, I was able to do this. I can do it again. I've achieved something. That feels amazing. So reframe discipline from something that's like, oh, it's like a punishment. View it as, this is me pulling up for myself. This is me building confidence and trust in myself and the love I have for myself. And no one can take that away from you, ever. Step number 2, make discipline your identity. I will give you examples in a second, but the reason why this is important is because we as people act in line with who we think we are. And our brain then just finds proof of that everywhere. To put it simply, your reality is reflected in the way you think and especially in what you believe in. So change that identity, act as someone who has that identity. The more you do it, the more it becomes a pattern, the more your brain offers you proof everywhere that that is true, and then it becomes a belief. So let's do an example. Let's say that what you want to achieve is to become someone who's super fit and lives a very healthy lifestyle. That is something you've always wanted to do. You set out to do it. A huge part of that will be changing the way you see yourself, so that identity. So instead of saying, I am the healthiest person on earth, I'm super fit, you probably don't believe in that. Your brain is not stupid. It goes like, that is not true. And then it finds proof of why it's not true. So choose something that is believable. Like, I am someone who never skips a workout. That is something you can believe in because you can start to never skip a workout. That is a lot easier to achieve than you becoming the healthiest, fittest person in the world. You know what I mean? Then you need to ask yourself, who is this version of me that never skips a workout? And really make it as real as humanly possible. Like, what does this version of you believe in? What does it think about? What are their daily habits? How do they approach their life in general? Like, just really have a full picture and then start acting in that way. Another important step is to then reflect that in your reality. We're making it so that it's the easiest possible thing for your brain to come up with those clues of like, oh, this is who we are now. And it then becomes a pattern and a belief. So make it super easy for yourself. That will also make it easier for you to stay on track with it. So if you want to be super fit and you're the person who never skips a workout, have your yoga mat and weights in your room. Surround yourself with people who are like that. If it's not in real life, you've got social media. You can curate what you see completely. Create a workout playlist. Have a section of your closet that's fully just workout clothes. So make your new reality, your environment reflect this new identity, and it will be so much easier for you to stay on track and also for your brain to create that pattern and that belief that this is who you truly are now. Once it becomes a belief, it's so much easier because it's your new norm. It's just your reality. It's just what you do. I'm sure you've done things in the past or you've learned new things that are now just like, it's like nothing. It's like breathing. Like of course I do that. You know what I mean? Step number 3, build resilience and learn the art of catch and release. What that means is something goes wrong, you make the wrong decision, you think something's gonna do so well and it doesn't. To put it plainly, you fail at something. You have to change the way you view those failures and the way you deal with them, because every single successful person that has done something that you admire, whatever area of life that is, has had to learn that. We see their success, we see, the top of the iceberg, everything that they've done right, all the decisions that have panned out, and we usually don't see or hear about the climb that it took, how they've made some wrong decisions, how a lot of the things they've tried haven't worked out. And one of the really important things that makes those people as successful as they are is they had to learn and they got good at not dwelling on those mistakes, on those failures, learning from them, and then taking a more informed step forward. And they had to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until something works. And of course it sucks to make, mistakes. It's not fun for anyone. It's not fun to dwell. It's not fun when your mistakes and failures reaffirm those not so nice beliefs you might have about yourself. It's normal to experience those feelings, but what you need to do instead is look at it again as an opportunity. Okay, I've took a misstep. Why did I take that misstep? What exactly is it that didn't work out? Why didn't it work out? You learn from it. You take that in your, again, little backpack. You leave the dwelling out the door, because why are you dragging that weight with you? It literally does nothing. Once you've learned from it, you have to accept reality. Like, it is what it is. You move with it or you're going to struggle going against it your whole life. So take what you've learned, put it in your pocket, be like, there's nothing else for me to learn here. It doesn't help to dwell. It's going to drag me down when I'm climbing this next step that's going to be way more informed. And you keep taking those steps and you keep learning what works, what doesn't, and you just get really good at that. That's going to help you stay disciplined, because a lot of us give up when something doesn't go our way. And especially if it reaffirms like a negative belief you might have about yourself. And I want to make a whole video about negative core beliefs. Let me know if you want that. I feel like it's an important topic, but it's a pretty big one. So it's hard to cover it all in one video. So let me know. So again, it's not a failure. It's an opportunity for you to now take a new, more informed step and add some more knowledge in that arsenal of yours. Tip number 4, clarify your goals and break them down. I feel like we've all heard all about the right way to set goals, so I'll keep this very brief. So your goals need to be very clear, realistic, trackable. I like the SMART method. And then your why needs to be more meaningful, more emotional. So you have to write down what achieving these goals will give you personally. Also, write down what you can give once you achieve those goals, how you can be of service, whether that's to the people around you, to your community, to the world at large. That really, really helps it to make it more realistic. So let's say I want to earn 6 figures this year. What I can write here is I'm going to pay for a course for my brother because he's always wanted to switch to a different career and he needs a little bit of a push. He can't afford it. I will gladly do that, and it will make me so happy to do that. Do you see what I mean? It obviously can be smaller things. It doesn't matter. This is just one example. But that gives you so much more motivation and that more emotional reason for why you're doing the things that you're doing. So again, we're making it very easy for you to keep going. Then you have to break down your goals so much to the point that it feels easy. So I like to work in like shorter increments. So I choose 3 months instead of like my yearly goals. I have my bigger goals that I want to achieve, and then I break them down into 3 months, and then I break those down into monthly goals and weekly goals and daily to-do lists and all of that. Once you have those small steps laid out, it feels so much more manageable, and you can focus on your next step instead of this huge mountain that you're facing and you just feel overwhelmed. If you've ever been forced into hiking, me all the time because my boyfriend loves it, you know what it feels like. If you keep focusing on that peak, you're like, Jesus Christ, this is dragging on so long. If you just look at your feet, look around where you are, and just focus on your next steps, it's so much easier and it goes by quicker. You know what I mean? If you have trouble with this, imagine this goal and that you have to work towards it this week. So to make it very realistic, what is the biggest step you're willing to take to achieve this goal realistically this week? And then don't make those steps bigger than that. That is like your limit, okay? So in that way, you're creating a schedule for yourself, and it's a sustainable schedule, a sustainable plan that's not gonna lead to burnout or to you giving up because of the pressure that you feel because it's just all too much. Achieving the goals that you set for yourself, those bigger goals, is challenging in itself. You don't have to make your every step a monumental hard experience. Make it manageable for yourself, okay? Okay, we've made it to what I think is the most important piece of advice in this whole video. Persist despite the resistance. We've already kind of covered this a little bit, but I really need to go into detail because I feel like this is so important. If you're someone born in this generation, Gen Z especially, you've probably encountered like this new age, whether it's spirituality or just the belief system of like your emotions are ruling your life. Like you feel upset, you need to lay and take care of yourself, and that has its place for sure. But it can also be really unhealthy and just frankly an excuse. So let's get into that. So someone who is not disciplined misinterprets the resistance that they're feeling. So let's say one of your goals is to become a runner. So you're going on a run today. That's what you set out to do. And you start, of course, thinking about all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, right? It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be so hard. I know that 10-minute mark is going to be unbearable. I'm going to have to run past that area where there's a lot of people. That's going to be so uncomfortable. Like you list every single thing that might make it difficult. And what you do if you're not disciplined is you make that resistance mean, I just shouldn't do it. I should just stop doing it. Or you go a step further and you're like, I guess this is just not meant for me. I guess I'm just not supposed to be a runner. I guess that's just not my sport. And if you're really bad at discipline, it means you're really good at this. You're really good at misinterpreting resistance. You're letting your emotions control you when they should just be a little waving flag. Your emotions are constantly providing you with information about everything, and that information is not always correct. Just think about the times when you've reacted out of pure emotion in the moment and you've regretted it, or you've been able to see another side and you were like, oh wait, that was the wrong thing to do. So when that little flag is being lifted of I have an emotion, it's an alert, you need to decide what to do with that information. What you're doing now when you're letting your emotions govern your whole life is that flag gets lifted and you're like, oh, I guess this is uncomfortable. It just means I'm not supposed to do it. If you're in the self-development or the spiritual new age world, you've heard that your emotions are like a compass. What a compass is not, here's the outline of your whole journey. This is the start. This is the finish. This is where you're going to stop to have a little break. Blah, 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 blah. This is the journey. It's just like, hey, girly, north is over there. That is it. There are so many things in life that make us feel uncomfortable, that make us not feel good sometimes, especially when you're learning something new, when you're pushing yourself past a point where you've been before. Imagine anything like becoming healthier, eating healthy, losing weight, becoming fit, learning a new language, public speaking, putting yourself out there. Everything will cause you discomfort and to not feel good at some points because you're learning, you're going past where you've been before. And again, if you're not good at discipline, you're amazing at making this resistance, this uncomfortable feeling mean that this is not meant for me. This is not for me. You know, I'm just not good at this. I just shouldn't do it. I'm just going to stop. That's what you're making it mean. If you keep doing that, you will go through life in a very passive way. Yes, you might think positively and do all the visualizations in the world, but you will keep waiting on your doorstep for your dreams and goals and achievements to magically appear, and they won't. You will keep waiting. It won't happen without your action and persistence. And even if it did just magically appear, how much satisfaction will you get from that? The fact that you didn't have to lift a finger, you didn't have to challenge yourself in any way, overcome anything, it just appeared. How amazing will that actually feel if you're being honest with yourself? So much of the success you actually want and those deep reasons for why you want to succeed at something is to actually just prove to yourself that I did this, I can do this. Just to have that, oh my God, I did it. I overcame all these things. I worked through all of that. I learned all of that. I went through that whole journey. I did that. Like that confidence and that inner power and trust in yourself and that growth is what makes it magical. It's what makes it all worth it. I now have this financial freedom, this body, this health, this relationship, this whatever, because I did all that. I made it happen. Of course, all the material things, all the extra fluff is amazing, but that's the part that we're actually searching for. That's the meaningful part. Those emotional experiences are what makes success so desirable for us. So prove to yourself that you can do it. Show up for yourself. Do the things you set out to do. Keep your own word and your own promises. Alrighty guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. I hope all of my tips were clear. I had a bit of trouble today with just speaking and illustrating my points, so I hope that didn't come across and I hope everything was clear and you're feeling a little bit more motivated and like you have some more knowledge to build this new skill of yours. And if you want to feel even more motivated, I actually have a video that I did recently where I created a challenge for myself and for all of you to kind of get out of a rut. So if that's something you're experiencing right now, maybe check out that video and do that first. I'll link that down below. And of course, all of my social media, please subscribe if you want to see more content like this. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.